Winners 2020 right here.
And here we go with the last hockey game of 2020. Junior.
And they were asking the players about it after, and they all kind of said the same thing. They don't really care about the streak. Gord, you had the point that a lot of these kids were 4 years old when the streak started. It doesn't mean anything to them, nor does it mean anything for the tournament.
But talking to some of our Swedish colleagues, they do think that might be a benefit, that the streak was weighing on teams, players being asked for every year, even though it had little to do with them. The shot goes in and out of the felt. Just 7-0 against the Czechs. The U.S. was 6th last year in this tournament, their worst finish in 9 years. Zegras works in a backhand pass without the skate, just wide.
And the Swedes are going to be rattled. Alnefeldt's going to be rattled. And
now Zegras sends it to Kaliev with his shot off the glove of Alnefeldt. Turcotte leaves it down. Arthur Kaliev trying to dig that free. And it's moved out by Elmer Soderblom. Jackson Lacombe sprawled in front of that as well as Caulfield chips it in. Moving in with Matt Beniers. Beniers, the youngest player in this American roster, eligible for the upcoming draft, takes the puck behind the net. Beniers, back to York. Cam York, a shot, that's deflected, goes just wide.
Time of the goal, 109.
And York back with it. And 3 assists in the winning of the Czech Republic did Cam York. And Philip Broberg's out there, the captain for Sweden, who was, it looked like at the end, Ray, playing on one leg against the Russians last night, really laboring late.
it's a 5-on-5.
Kaliev taps that back for Zegras to York along wrist shot. Alnefeldt can't hold it. Look at the side of the goal, and Turcotte almost took that home.
He's an adventure in there in this first period. Man, I feel for him because you know he's rattled, and he's trying to calm himself down. That's a 50-foot wrist shot that hits him in the chest, and it's chaos after that.
American players haven't played at all this year. We thought the European teams might have an early advantage in the tournament because most of their players have played. Third pass for Brisson, knocked away by Alnefeldt.
Canada only had 5, and I would say
for the U.S. National Team Development Program, which has an under-17 and under-18 team. And here's Broberg with it. Chops it across to Holtz. And Broberg jumps into the rush. Holtz pokes at it. Taken away by Johnson, who can really skate. As you've mentioned, Ray, he comes by that, honestly.
Oh, his dad, Craig, was an outstanding skater. I played with him in Los Angeles. Now working with the LA Kings development staff.
Let's go, get it free and move it.
Turcotte kicking at it.
I'm not pulling this. Move it, boys. Keep it free. That's loose. Good job. Good job.
Now pulled out by Turcotte. Moved ahead by Holtz. Americans scored twice in their first 5 shots. As Broberg works in. Broberg trying to shovel that back in front. And he doesn't look right going back up the ice.
No, he doesn't at all. He's dangling a left arm here. Man, he's had a tough tournament.
Picked up by Caulfield. He's out in the corner. Beniers battling for it. For Caulfield. Cole Caulfield. Spins and shoots off the outside of the goal post. Broberg still out there. Long shot by Faber. That went off Caulfield and wide. Penalty coming out of Sweden. And as Raymond touches up, a high sticking call will go against the Swedes. The United States back to the power play.
Swedes are going to be shorthanded. Oosh. That high stick gets Cole Caulfield, and there's the hit by Faber as he runs Broberg out of real estate. Broberg's back out there. Spent much of the last part of that shift trying to get himself loose again. He clearly wasn't very comfortable, his upper body, after that hit behind the net.
So the United States on the power play is 6 for 13. Caulfield back for York. Off he goes to Zegras, down to the goal mouth. Now Colangelo for Brink. That rolls just wide. Colangelo back with it. to Sanderson. Sanderson to Colangelo. Back to Jake Sanderson. Colangelo. Looks rink wide. Brisson feeds that back on a quick shot by Brink. Alnefelt makes the stop, and there's no rebound. And now a scrum develops in behind the Swedish goal.
There's been a little bit of leeway around Hugo Alnefelt today. That's the second time it's been.
So Berard kicks out ahead. And back goes Broberg to pick it up. With Broberg. Fires that down to the American end. Knight on it. Rattles it high off the glass a couple of years ago. They've got 8 players who can return next year.
You know, on the returnees stuff, I always think it's great you got 8 or 10 or whatever. They better be a couple of the good ones.
Right.
You know, if you got 11 guys and they're all your depth guys, well, that's great, but man, you're going to miss your top end guys.
Here's Zegras with it. Up for Turcotte. Talia would normally be on this line for the United States. Broberg played it back across. That goes into the penalty. Talia back on this line with Zegras and Turcotte. And Broberg skated by the puck for a moment. Sundsvik has it back for Raymond. Lucas Raymond. Up ahead for Sundsvik. And back down in the corner. Turcotte. Out to center ice. Sundsvik was tied up there by Kaliev. And Johansson has it back for the Swedes.
Craig has that, guaranteed.
Zegras plays it across. Johnson walks in, scores! Ryan
Johnson. Face-off win by Turcotte. He blew a shoe and ended up on his backside.
Fired down by Sanderson. Bjornfot reaching for it. Pelletin a long shot. Rebound loose. Kaliev feeds it over Turcotte. Scores! Here's Broberg back with it. Shoots! That was off the glove of Knight.
This makes you think of the players missing for the Swedes as well. That would be significant players on their roster, but
Carl Henriksson, probably their top center. Alvin Druve, that was a Detroit draft pick. Now a steal by Soderblom moving in. Soderblom. They'll throw that towards the goal, and Faber moved him off the puck. Back at the point is Broberg. Long shot that was deflected just wide. Have a great tournament last year. Now Kaliev a long shot. He too returning the puck loose. Wallstedt down. And finally the Swedish netminder. Turcotte drops it back for Zegras. Once again the tournament point leader, Trevor Zegras. Drops that back. Clevin plays it back in deep. Kaliev. Taken up there with Broberg. Knocked down by Clevin, sent right back in deep. Here's Zegras with it. Walks right out, shoots short side. Wallstedt made the stop. Clevin, long shot. That goes right out the other side. And that was hacked high and wide by Kaliev. Turcotte to Zegras. In, shoots, and Wallstedt got an arm on that.
But it always does.
Andre plays it across. Broberg shoots. Knight doesn't look back. It drops beside him. Grab for Andre. How'd that stay out? I think Jake Sanderson might have saved a goal there.
Sundsvik knows he's got the open side. His Knight doesn't know where the puck is, and he goes to wrap it, and it just somehow stays out of the net.
Broberg.
Oh, boy. Sanderson almost clobbered Broberg. Broberg comes around the back of the net. Look at this. Oh, he just misses him. Broberg never sees him.
Bjornfot have moved up for Sweden. Broberg feeds it back. Holmstrom a shot that bounces wide. Broberg calling for it from Gunler. And Broberg moves it.
Here they show him, and he's unplugging and plugging things. Why do I think I've got something to do with that?
Yeah.
I've not been a help up here.
Skip the Dish is the official food delivery app of Hockey Canada. That's why these games sound as good as they do. Bouncing puck in front. Bjornfot knocked it down. And here's Zegras. Down to Turcotte. Turcotte tries to spin it back. And now Zegras spins and shoots. That's blocked. Plays it back across. And Kalyev's one-timer was blocked by Broberg. And then Kalyev took down Broberg. And he'll get a penalty. Being watched there by Beniers. At the point is Broberg. Holmstrom. Feeds it back across. That skips away from Goodler. Broberg plays it back across to Holmstrom. To Goodler. And he tried to dust that puck off. That gave Beniers time to take it away. And Beniers feeds it down. Broberg. Drops it off to Holmstrom. 10 seconds to go on the Swedish power play. Around the boards it goes. Farinacci picks it up and chips it back down to the Swedish zone. No shots on goal for Sweden on that power play. They scarcely threatened.
Never set up once, really, and looked dangerous. The one chance off the goalpost was off a rush, Raymond to Soderblom.
Ryan Poehling got a hat trick in that game. Sweden won in overtime. Turcotte wins that draw back to Sanderson and backhands it back in. Here's Niederbach on it. Theodore Niederbach of Sweden. That's not free. I know a Theodore in Canada, a young man, but if they call him Teddy, his mom will box your ears. It's Theodore. That puck bounces way high in the slot, knocked down. Right, Raymond? Remember when they lost to Canada in the final in Buffalo in 2018. Here's Holtz with it. Lead pass to Broberg. Wonder how much we'll see him in the third period. Clement slams down Broberg, and that draws a crowd.
We're good. Who's your head? We're good. Good job, Phil. We're good here. Let's go. Let's go. Yellow.
And Broberg has been hit twice tonight. Twice by Clevin tonight, and once where Jake Sanderson just missed him behind the net. This play is offside, and Clevin finishes right through. Broberg takes a big hit. That's a late hit.
That's late, isn't it? I was going to say, like, after that 5-3 loss, as Colangelo flashed in their opener, that shot by Brisson knocked away to Russia. Hasn't allowed a goal.
They've scored 22 straight goals since that empty netter against the Russians.
Brisson. Jam play at the side of the goal. Ballstead knocked that away. Icing called against Sweden.
Oh, it's been one of those nights, a long night for Philip Broberg. He's been banged up a little bit. This was after a hit in the first period. He's stretching out his left arm, stretching out his neck a little bit. Now getting looked at in the third period after that latest collision. He's got a lower body, he's got an upper body, he's got basically general soreness. This is the guy that's going to need a day off.
He'll get one, and Broberg's back out there for the Swedes now.
I don't know how much he needs to be playing. Actually, I don't think he needs to be playing at all here. They're down 4-0. The likelihood of scoring 4 is pretty slim. Maybe you give him another couple of shifts or see if the Swedes can get something on the game. But man, there's just no point putting him back on the ice here.
Raymond loose in the corner, drops it down to Bjornfot, who's jumped in.
Well, let's not forget here for the Swedes that their head coach Thomas Monton is at home in Sweden with tested positive for COVID along with the rest of the coaching staff. So you've got a real young, inexperienced coach in Joel Ronmark, 30 years old, coaching. Sometimes the news you get isn't very good news. Joel Ronmark gets a chat from the assistant coach who heads down to tell Philip Broberg, that's enough. You're done for today. But they're looking up at the clock. Broberg, like every other player I know, is now trying to work his way and litigate his way back into the game. But the answer is he doesn't need to be on the ice. That's the right decision for the Swedes.